everyone, welcome to another video. Today I want to show you how to create a galaxy background, something that I've done before, but this time I'm going to be using acrylic stamps and an ink brayer to make this. It's super easy and super quick. I'm starting off with watercolor paper here. This is cut slightly smaller than A2, so 4 inches by 5¼ inches. And then I've got some acrylic paints. These are heavy body acrylic paints from the Crafters Workshop. I'm using black, blueberry pie, raspberry sorbet, and lemon custard. You can mix and match colors here. I wanted to do a blue, that pinky color, and then also a yellow color. You can do whatever colors you want. These are going to mix nicely too. Now to put these on, I am using some makeup sponges that I've cut in half here, just so I don't use up a whole one for this, because once you use this for your acrylic paints, you just need to toss them. So I went ahead and put a little squirt of the blue, the yellow, and the pink onto a palette here, and then I'm just going to use my little makeup sponge to dab this on. And I want to cover up this entire background. Now the majority of this is going to be covered, but you still want to put all of this over the background because you don't know what parts are going to peek through yet. So I'm coming in with the yellow now. I want to go ahead and mix a little bit of that pink and that yellow, and that's just going to give me a nice little color variation there. So you're using 3 colors, but you're going to end up with about 6 different shades of colors on here just from the mixing alone. Now I'll come with the blue, and I'm going to go ahead and mix that with the pink and create a little bit of a purple, and then also with the yellow, and that's going to create a little bit of green in the background as well, which is a really beautiful green that's going to peek through. You'll see some in the finished photos. I'll cover up all of that white space that I've left, and whenever I put this on, you can see this is creating some texture. I am leaving that all. I am not smoothing it out. I want that texture. It gives a really fun texture that you can see and also feel on the finished card, and also the black is going to do that too. So this is just one of those techniques where it's not only really fun to look at, but it gives a really neat feel and also sheen to the card when you're finished. I want to deepen up some of these colors, so I just come back in and play with the intensity, play with the blending as I go along here. So I'm coming in with some more of that pink, blending it out. It does put a little bit of blue in the center. You can see it blends also right at the edges. So just go back and forth between your colors until you're happy with it. I'm also coming back in with that yellow. You can see it brings a little bit of the blue into the yellow, and it also blends those edges. Now once that was finished, I did dry it with my heat gun. This is going to curl like crazy. It's okay. It does flatten back out. Just kind of bend it back into the shape you want it. Then whenever I was happy and I got it a little bit straightened out, because I am putting more on this, so it didn't need to be completely straight yet, I added some of that black licorice, which is a black heavy body acrylic paint, onto my craft mat. I'm using my brayer to go ahead and spread this out. This is one of the Ranger brayers. You can use whatever brayer you have on hand. And then I'm going to go ahead and just go straight over this in lines all the way across the card. So I'm not going side to side, I'm going straight up and down long ways here. Now you can cover up as much of this as you want to. You can have as much of that background peek through. What I like to do is go in, put a layer on, and then I come back in with my colors that I've left on my craft mat, and I just pop some more color right on top of the black. You can go back and forth between the two as many times as you want to, between the black and the colors, and get this exactly how you want it. This is just going to add in a little bit more color and a little bit more texture where I've lost some of it. Now I went a little heavy with the yellow on the left hand side there, so all I need to do is go back in with my brayer and smooth that out. It creates almost this green color, and there I am left with this gorgeous textured background. Now you can see this has a little bit of a sheen to it. That's not going to go away. You can see on the finished card I've still got it on there. Now in order to help that sheen move along or get a little bit more intense, I did add a little bit of spray to this. So first I went ahead and came in with my heat gun and dried this. You can see it curling up quite a bit there. As it dries, it does smooth back out a little bit. You can bend this back into the shape you want it. These heavy body acrylic paints don't crack. They don't get really dry. So you don't have any of the cracking or anything, even with a lot of different layers on here. And you can also put this under a heavy book or something overnight, and that'll flatten it out really well. So once I had on all of my colors and I had it dry, I came in with a white acrylic paint. Now this is the cheap stuff that you can get at your local craft store. This works much better than the heavy body acrylic paints for doing the technique I'm going to do next, which is flicking on the paint to make. So I just like to use a little bit of water in this as well, just to water it down a little bit more. I use a brush. You can use a toothbrush if you want to. That makes some really neat colors. And then I came in and just dotted some in, flicked it on. Now I got a few little heavy drops there. That's okay. They look really cool once everything's said and done. They're also going to spread out a little bit with the liquid I add in just a moment. Then I take my finger and just flick the bristles towards the paper. Now it's probably pretty smart to do this inside a box, not just on your work surface like I'm doing. I got splatters everywhere, so just a heads up, you might want to do that in a box. But there is a closer look at those splattered on that background. It looks so neat and so cool. What I wanted to do next was just add a little bit more sheen to that. These heavy body acrylic paints already give a nice sheen to it. But what I did was I used some of the Imagine Crafts. They're shimmer sprays. They're very translucent, but they add a gorgeous shimmer to it. If you don't have these, use some Perfect Pearls mixed with water. Use whatever you have on hand. I used the silver and the gold, or the frost and the gold, and then I just went ahead and let that dry. I did use my heat tool a little bit, but you can see when I added that liquid, those larger drops that I put on started to spread out a little bit with that liquid, and it creates almost a galaxy look. Now there is a closer look at that background all said and done. This is such a fun technique to do. Not only does it give you that texture too, but because I used the heavy body acrylic paints, which are a thicker paint, they give you layers. So it gives you more depth and things. You can actually see the different layers of paint, which is really cool. Now to finish this card off, I'm going to be using the Joy Claire Out of This World stamp set. This is an adorable little space themed birthday stamp set. I stamped a little alien with some Memento Tuxedo black ink, and then I'm going to color it in very quickly with my alcohol markers. That's why I use Memento. You can use whatever ink goes with your coloring medium. I just thought it would be really nice to have a nice intense color on this, since I did have such an intense background on this. I'm coloring in the little alien ship with some green markers. I colored in the top and the little bottom feet with a gray, left the alien as is, and added a little bit of a very light blue right over the little part where the alien is, so the little glass, what's supposed to be glass. Now I wanted to cut out the center of this to create a little bit more interest on my background, a more focalized point, but I did not want to get rid of all of this background. So I used 2 circle dies, nested them inside of each other. I cut from the top of my little panel that I made with my acrylic paints, and then I also cut a piece of blue cardstock, keeping those taped together. Make sure that I have the exact layout that I used on both pieces. Now I also cut a white banner from some white cardstock, and then I used the sentiment that is included in the stamp set right on top of that. I used VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink to go ahead and stamp that down because it's a nice crisp clear black ink, and it's beautiful to stamp your sentiments with. That says, "I hope your birthday is a blast," which fits the theme perfectly. Then it was time to start putting this card together. So I started off with my panel that I created with the acrylic paints. I matted this with a piece of black cardstock. I used a full piece of black cardstock. That way I could put all the different layers down and kind of assemble them on this. Now for that blue little frame I created, I'm going to use a liquid glue. That way I have a little bit of playtime to get this perfectly where I want it. I'm just going to place that right down where it would have gone had this been the regular piece that I cut from. It fits like a little puzzle piece. That's basically what you're doing, assembling a card puzzle at this point. Then I added in the center circle, and finally I added in my little space guy that I did fussy cut out, and then my banner I attached on the top as well. I attached this whole thing to an A2 top folding card base, and this card was done. I do want to mention that I fussy cut out my little alien, but if you're new to Joy Claire Stamps, you should know that if you have an electronic die cutting machine and you order stamps from them, you automatically get the SVG cut files for free, nothing extra. You don't have to do anything extra. You just get them so you don't have to fussy cut, which is a great little bonus. There's a closer look at this card all said and done. I love, 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 love that background. It's an easy technique, it's a quick technique, and it adds so much interest to your card. It could be the card on its own, but I love the little addition of the Joy Claire out of this world stamp set. That does it for me today. On the left side of your screen, you're going to see some links you can click on. You can also subscribe to my channel over there if you haven't already. Down below, you can like this video. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, and happy crafting.